Police have confirmed they have sent dockets to the National Prosecuting Authority for a decision on whether or not to prosecute officials over the deaths of mentally ill patients. Dockets containing the extent of the investigations have been sent to the Director of Public Prosecutions. Retired Deputy Chief Justice Dikgang Moseneke made scathing findings against key officials of the Gauteng Department of Health. These included former Health MEC Esidemeni Mahlangu. He lamented how they had failed to accept responsibility for the motivation behind patient transfers and subsequent loss of lives. He found not only against individual senior officials, but suspected fraud and corruption in the process, where victims were moved to ill-equipped facilities. He summed up as the harrowing account of the death, torture and disappearance of utterly vulnerable healthcare users in the care of an admittedly delinquent provincial government.
I've declined also to order South African Police Service to investigate criminal charges that obviously arise from the facts of this arbitration. My office has furnished the South African Police with a full record of the proceedings. They must do their work as the law requires of them, and not at my direction.
As NPA, we can confirm that we have received about 140 dockets regarding the Esidemeni matter, and those dockets are at the offices of the Director of Public Prosecutions in North Gauteng, who is Advocate George Paloi, for consideration on a decision whether or not to proceed with prosecution. Firstly, we need to correct, we've viewed with concern the false information that has been provided to the media. We don't know by who, because as the NPA, we have not given any media house the number of dockets that we received, but it's not 45, it's actually 140 dockets.
Meanwhile, the Democratic Alliance says it will table a motion of no confidence against Gauteng Premier David Makhura over the Life Esidemeni tragedy. The DA commemorated Human Rights Day at Talisman Foundation in Johannesburg by unveiling a plaque in remembrance of the 144 Life Esidemeni victims. DA leader in Gauteng, John Moody, says the buck stops with Makhura and he should face the consequences. Moody says it's not enough for Makhura to take responsibility for the tragedy and still remain in office.
So I would like to say, as the head of government in this province, since the start of this process, I have myself followed very closely all the witnesses who have come here, and I know, and I have seen that from the point of view of where you are as families, you have heard very little about what happened and why. And a lot of blame shifting. You have had a lot of excuses, but very little about what happened and why. And I know that until you know what happened and why, you will not be able to heal. And I want to repeat that there can be no justice without the truth. So I am here to apologize once more, but to also answer questions about what I knew, and of those things that I knew, what did I do as the head of government in the province.
We do not see any follow-up and we do not see any consequences for such neglect, and in this case, utter neglect and culpability. And we therefore, as a Democratic Alliance, we believe that Makhura, as the Premier of the province, and as he in his own words says, takes full responsibility for what had happened under his watch, needs to do the honourable thing and restore the dignity and the trust, quite frankly, the dignity of his office and the trust of the community in that office by stepping down, and to show that he's prepared to take the consequences that comes with his bad judgment and mismanagement of a situation that he was fully aware of.
They don't have to give the Premier any notice. A motion of no confidence will have to be tabled at the provincial legislature. So the people who would have to be given notice are the presiding officers of the legislature.
I must outrightly dismiss this opportunistic call made by the DA. We think that the so-called the motion of no confidence is nothing but a cheap attempt to exploit the deep wounds and pain suffered by affected families and patients following the Esidemeni tragedy. If we didn't know better, we would not even, it seems more like a 2019 election campaign, motivated by, not necessarily motivated by a genuine concern to see that justice is served, but the pure electioneering